Hello. In explaining his hypothesis for God, Dr. Craig says that yes, God allows great suffering, and he lists different tragedies. One of them, the First World War. And I was wondering, why doesn't he mention also the Second World War, where there were no less victims and suffering than in the First World War? Then, after stating his moral argument, if God does not exist, objective moral values do not exist. Second, objective moral values do exist, therefore there is God. Dr. Craig says this same moral argument in different words, and those are: if the Nazis had won in the Second World War and had managed to either extinguish or brainwash all people, then there would be nobody who could criticize the Nazis' behavior and the Holocaust. Let's look at this moral argument. I will take the second variant, the Nazi variant of the moral argument. What Dr. Craig is saying is that it is possible, there is this possibility that exists in reality, that the Nazi ideology could win all over the world. This can happen only if Germany, where Hitler had taken power in 1933, the Nazi ideology was the leading ideology. If Germany had won World War II in all over the world and had managed to extinguish people opposing the Nazi regime in every country in the world. Don't forget, not only in Europe, in Asia, China, India, billions of people there, in Australia, in America, and in North and South America as well. That must happen if Dr. Craig is going to be right, or if this argument can be considered sound.
If God does not exist, objective moral values and duties do not exist. 2, objective moral values and duties do exist. 3, therefore, God exists. To say that the Holocaust was objectively wrong is to say that it was wrong even though the Nazis who carried it out thought that it was right. And it would still have been wrong even if the Nazis had won World War II and succeeded in brainwashing or exterminating everybody who disagreed with them so that everybody thought the Holocaust was right.
So what does this mean? What is Dr. Craig saying here? He is saying that if everybody in the world becomes a Nazi, then everybody will be a Nazi. So I don't know what kind of logic William Lane Craig employs in this argument, but if this argument is to be sound, then there must exist the real possibility of Nazis winning all over the world, extinguishing everybody that opposes them, or brainwashing all people. If this argument is to be right, there shouldn't be any person left that is not a real Nazi in the whole world, on all continents. And then, the second premise, there would be nobody left to criticize the Nazis. This should be a real possibility if the argument is to be sound. Because if it isn't a real possibility, then this argument sounds like either the moon is made of green cheese or God exists. Also, if this argument is a sound argument, it is sound all the time. Just as the cosmological argument, William Lane Craig said once that it was a sound argument at the time of the dinosaurs. So, if this argument is correct, he should be able to state this argument anytime before, through, and after the Second World War. I wonder if he would be willing to do that. That if the Nazis win everywhere, that means that it is perfectly possible, it is a possibility that the Nazis can win the war all over the earth, on all continents. So everybody can become Nazis. That is a real possibility, because if it isn't, then the moon is made of green cheese. I will only mention several disparate facts from different times during the war, which contradict entirely Dr. Craig's assertion that it is possible that the Nazis can win the war and reign all over the world. As regards the Holocaust, take the little country of Bulgaria. Together with Romania, Hungary, Finland, it entered the Axis and became an ally of Germany. Germany wanted the Jews in all countries that were allies to Germany to wear the sign for a Jew, and certain laws to be passed against the Jews, and also to gather Jews, put them on trains and send them to the concentration camps. And in most countries this was done. But Bulgaria is the only country, it is said, in which the number of Jews during the Second World War grew instead of being diminished, because more Jews were born and the Jews were not killed. When the law was passed that Jews should wear the sign, firstly the sign was like a little badge, and also when Jews have related that, when they went out and people noticed them, their sign, that made people feel good towards them and feel pity for them and behave better to them than behaving badly to Jews. And then Germany insisted, just as in all other countries, of gathering Jews, putting them on trains and taking them to concentration camps. But the population of Bulgaria almost unanimously protested against that. There was one moment when Germans gathered together Jews, put them on trains, but the Bulgarian population protested. They said that they will lie on the rails and stop the trains moving and going to the concentration camps. The head of the Bulgarian Orthodox Church said the same thing, that he will lie on the rails and not allow Jews to be taken from Bulgaria, and this action was stopped. The Jews were freed and they could go home. So let's look at this situation. Bulgaria, an ally to Germany. Germany is not at war with Bulgaria. It will not occupy Bulgaria and extinguish or brainwash people in Bulgaria to become Nazis. But still, Jews from Bulgaria could not be extinguished in the concentration camps as they were from so many other countries. I wonder, how does this fit in Dr. Craig's situation where there will be Nazis and only Nazis in the whole world? Another fact, before the tank battle at Kursk, there was a message from a spy in the headquarters of Germany, Werther, that nobody knew and still doesn't know who that was, who sent a message, information that helped the Russians. This is in the Nazi party. This is in the Nazi military headquarters. How does this fit with Dr. Craig's situation of everybody being a Nazi?
To say that the Holocaust was objectively wrong is to say that it was wrong even though the Nazis who carried it out thought that it was right. And it would still have been wrong even if the Nazis had won World War II and succeeded in brainwashing or exterminating everybody who disagreed with them so that everybody thought the Holocaust was right.
Another fact, after the defeat of the German army at Stalingrad, many German soldiers hated Hitler, and when so many were taken prisoners, many of them, thousands of them, became anti-fascists, that means anti-Nazi. How does this fit with Dr. Craig's real possibility of all Nazis conquering the whole world and everybody becoming a Nazi? So, Dr. Craig, there will always be people opposing in various ways such a vile ideology, such a bad anti-rational meme as Nazism. Bye.
If there is no God, then our world is Auschwitz.